Okay, let's get the mid-book discussion of Tuesdays with Morrie started. Good to see total of three participants and one, curator who is organizing this mid-book discussion. Now, the thing about mid-book discussion is, we come in between and we just do a little bit of checkpoint on the book. How has it been? We go a little bit beyond the book as a topic. We might not discuss the book as such because we've already had so many discussions on the group. Honestly, this is one of those groups which has had the most amount of discussion in terms of volume and depth. Previous GRPs, uh, of course, the participants have been less. This one has nearly 46 participants. And I must tell you, I was afraid that there is just too many people when we started this journey. Because I've been usually having 10 to 15 people in a traditional GRP, because managing 10 to 15 is simpler. People who don't show up, at least, they get some help. But having 45 people has helped me in as a blessing in disguise, telling me that when you have a lot many people, at least twice the number of which I'm comfortable with, even when those who don't show up, the intensity of the discussions does not go down. So yeah, I think volume helps, just like volume of reading also helps. But that's what GRPs is. We go beyond the book, as you would have seen in the conversations. Uh, People are bonding over the vulnerability, sharing their life things. And in some reason, I've read this book, but I'm reading second time again all of it with all of you. This time, this book becomes a lot more than just being a book. And this is the entire reason why GRPs are the thing for me, because it brings stories and anecdotes and experiences of life from the readers. So we've got Pramod, who is a member of the Readers Club. We have got Abhishek and Jayashree, who are not the members of the Readers Club, but you are joining into the GRP for the very first time, and not hopefully not the last time. I want to know from you, what's the first week experience of being in a GRP like? Okay, so let's kick off this interaction with a little bit on GRP, the one for first week experience. So, keep it crisp, keep it short, whatever you have taken, even a feedback is more than welcome.
It has been a great experience for me, honestly. So I couldn't start on Monday. Okay, so the moment we joined this, I started the audiobook first and foremost. Okay. By the way, in case you don't know, YouTube has the full audiobook version. Okay, and I have pretty long drives, so I made pretty good use of them. Uh, it's just 2.5 hours, so it got done in 3 days. So and then I thought, should I start reading or should I just rely on audiobook? But I thought, okay, any which ways, I had the book. I had the book since a long time on my Kindle, so I started reading as well. But my reading is not as per your schedule. It's a little behind, as you might have seen from my comments on the group. I am done with day 3 right now. Okay, but I do intend to keep it up and finish it off. Okay, so audiobook, yes, I finished already, but reading is a little behind. The thing is that I had bought this book maybe more than 2-3 years back.
Mhm.
Okay, uh, but now I'm finally reading it. So it clearly brings in discipline because you are a member of the group, and there are things to do, things to say, and everybody else is also doing it. So I love this. I'm happy about it.
Thank you, Abhishek. Jayashree.
Yeah, I'll go. So I've had this book for at least, I think, 15 years now, and I read it a long time ago. I think I read it in 2013. Like I said in the group, I was going through a very difficult phase in my life, a very big transition. And I believe that things come to me when I need it. And it was quite by accident, I saw about the group uh, in my alumni group. Santosh Sali is also in the group. He actually posted, and I was dealing with something very, very critical at that moment. So for me, I thought that maybe this book is going to talk to me. And that's how really I got into this group. And yeah, like Abhishek, I also had a lag. I started 2 days later, but then I caught up. And I'm actually in my organization, I'm going through a major role transition. Sometimes the tension of opposites, and what one wants also can come with what one doesn't want. That's what I realized. I've been wanting something, but something has come with so many other additions which I don't want. And it comes as a package. So I'm going through this whole thing about choice and stuff like that. And yesterday I was having a call with my boss, and I actually reread the chapter on tension of opposites, and then I got into the call. So the first call with my boss was like, fireworks. The second call was a lot better. Yeah, so I think I think the book is really helping me, and it's making a lot of meaning.
Thank you, Jayashree, for sharing that. One of the things my manager used to say a lot, still says a lot, is be careful what you wish for. And
Mhm,
the statement used to be a lot of my way of, accepting things as they are,
mhm,
because be careful what you wish for. Ever since I started pushing the envelope against the statement, I have been on the receiving end of fire a lot. But along with the receiving end of the fireworks, as you say, a lot of success is also beginning to, I can see things moving. I can see some progress being made in my career. So yeah, tension of opposites will always be there. We have
mhm,
to deal with it, attack it, and not be careful about what we wish for. Because if we are being careful with what we wish for, we'll never really go from where we are to where we want to be. So tension of opposites, I am annoyed a little bit with this book, of course, because a sticky concept. Sticky concept is something you hear for the first time and just sticks in your head for all the while that you can think about. I'm annoyed that there was this tension of opposites barely got 8 to 9 lines in the book.
mhm.
Um, there's so much we can talk about it. So let's see if we can manage some more discussion around tension of opposites in life. But good to hear that from you. And we've got Pramod and Prerna who are joining in, who have been part of the Readers Club from the starting of this year. They were in cohort 24, and then they have migrated from cohort 24 to the Readers Club. So I'm changing the format just for everyone's awareness. I'm changing the entire format, which is why we have not had new reading cohorts since 4th June 2023. So we'll shed some light on it towards the end. But Prerna, Pramod, how is this GRP experience? Now you've been in other GRPs with other books. How is this book in particular faring?
I think, yeah, I think you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of insights from all the members I'm getting. Like, it's not a sleeping kind of
Some lag in this connection.
Yeah.
It will come, it will come. Zoom purpose. We couldn't hear you, Prerna. Some lag in your connection.
okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes, you can switch off your video. If that there is some bandwidth issue, you can switch off the video, so it will help.
Okay. I was trying to say that this cohort, this group is quite interactive, and there's so many insights, we are getting from each and every one. So it is in a way enriching me, and they're freely putting down their thoughts, and which it should be. So this cohort, I'm finding it very lively as well as enriching. So that's how it should be, because then only it will solve the purpose.
Yeah. Thank you, Prerna, for you joined a little bit late, and I had shed some light on GRPs
Okay.
usually in terms of less number of people. So literally, this is like a testimonial to what I've just said. Have more people into it. and hope probably in the future GRPs I'll have a lot more people. Keep it open for anyone who wants to join in, but preferably obviously the members of the Readers Club. Yeah, Pramod, it's been a while since you joined into a GRP, some gap. So how's this GRP been for you so far? And a book, of course.
Yeah, so starting with the GRP itself, I think when we finished the GRP in June, post that there was a lull. I think I joined with the purpose of cultivating it as a habit, the reading part. And post that, I was not able to continue. Right, even the audiobook that we spoke about, right, I could not continue. So definitely having this, even though I'm lagging, I think one day, but still it kind of pushes me to go back and read and stay at least close to the people, and it is helping. With regards to the book itself, I've had this book for maybe 15, 20 years. I don't know, for a very long time. In fact, I still have the same copy. I didn't have to buy it. And when I started reading the book that time, earlier I had this habit about, I would critically look at the books wherein you would try to find out why the book doesn't make sense, and you would reject the book. Oh, it's not meant for me. It's not my type of book. So I think at least that mentality has changed, because we had discussed that some chapters might be boring, when we started the earlier part of the year. So that has helped me to continue. That's one thing. Second thing is, in the last 15, 20 years, I think the age has also caught up, right? I'm mid 40s now. My father had a stroke, and now he's very slow. So my father is a retired army officer, and you could see the difference now after his stroke versus how it used to be. So yeah, so there are relatable elements, as well as I think somewhere, as a person, I feel that probably I should not say this, but we are kind of going in that direction, right? 40s and 50s and 60s and whatever, right? How much ever time we are kind of lucky. So from that perspective, it is still making sense. I'm able to relate to the author as well when he's narrating his experience as a sports commentator and everything. So that's kind of helping. So yeah, all in all, it's good. The GRP, the group, and the fact that we are checking and status and the questions, and you feel obligated to respond. I feel obligated to respond. I feel that I'm committing to it, so I have to do that. So that certainly helps quite a lot for me to not, be left behind, basically.
Thanks, Pramod. Yeah, I think this book, again, going back on what Jayeshi said, sometimes the book comes into you when you're really ready for it. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot came from Sahil Bloom's post. He is one of the best writers on internet, very influential curator of topics. Whatever he reads, he writes about it, and it actually feels like his original ideas coming through him. But again, that's the beauty of writing. So what he shared of late was he had got a writer. Yeah, they can afford a ghostwriter, so they got a ghostwriter who came to their house in India. Sahil Bloom is based out of US now. He's a US citizen, I believe. But what he did was the ghostwriter interacted with his grandmother and captured all the anecdotes and learnings of life. And that very idea hit me deep. Hit me deep because, I've been a huge fan of my grandfather. But the only way I can remember him is perhaps from the books he wrote and the underlines and doodling and scribbling he did on the margin, or from my memories, which is very short because I was a young kid, and many of the times those memories go away and come out of nowhere, so you can't remember. And I was thinking, it should be such a great idea to document someone's life as an anecdote, as experience, maybe just as a voice recording itself. What is your life journey been, your career, so your take on family. Let that be ephemeralized in form of an audio or a video or a text. And when this book Tuesdays with Morrie, you're talking about someone who was a big thing or became popular in 90s. Okay. I was barely 10 when, Morrie had passed away. And suddenly, 25 years later, after this book was potentially published, or at least Morrie passed away, it certainly hits you deep. It leaves you with such amazing respect for the person and, of course, the author. And he's written a lot of books, and a lot of people who are fan of Michelle Baum do talk about other books as well. But this book, of course, hits the pinnacle. So yeah, I think this we need to, one of the learnings, and of course, if you can capture the anecdotes of people who are like Morrie to your life, who are in their late 60s and 70s. I'm also trying to push the envelope with my father, trying to make him record his own life experiences on the phone. He's a very stubborn person, let me tell you. So it won't take one try, it will take many tries, get him convinced. Probably I'll just, sneakily keep this book on his bed. Maybe this way so he can connect with what I'm trying to, explain to him. But yeah, if you can and you have the opportunity, you have that kind of rapport relationship with your whosoever that one person is, get them to document a little bit of journey, and you can get a lot of inputs, topics from page 66 itself, where literally Mish Album talked about this. If a person very senior in your life, a very very respectable person in your life, if you ask them to just make their voice notes on this, okay, and voice notes is simple, right? You can just teach them to send a voice note to themselves or even you on WhatsApp, and talk about these topics. You have literally got a mini book for yourself, your children, your future generation, and anyone who you share it with. So we should do this with our family at least. One of my takeaways, I'm trying my best to get this captured. Uh, okay, I went a little bit off route, but that is one topic I wanted to share. One thing I also want to share here is, um, reading a book is one thing. Writing about it helps you process the book a lot better. So one of the activities, I will be sharing this on Monday, that is tomorrow. But one of the activities I want all of you to do is, whichever platform you are regular at, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitter, whichever platform you're active on, talk about this book from whatever you have read. Okay. If you want to talk about tension of opposites, talk about it. If you want to talk about the three questions Morrie asked, are you giving to the community? Are you giving to the caring about loved ones? So those three questions you can literally ask it. Because one thing that surprised me from the responses I got in the poll and on the group was a lot of people were not aware about this book, and I was stunned. Like, I thought this book is so popular that almost everyone would be knowing about it. Even if they've not read it, they might have heard about this. I might have heard about this book back in 2014 or something and kept it in my, TBR for many, many years. So Tuesday, just write about this book. You can literally take a snapshot of this page or whichever lines you love, okay, whichever lines you highlighted, just add your own statements. You'll be amazed how much you get married into the process of reading and then reading and writing if you continue doing this. I'm beginning to see some benefits come out of it. Okay. And again, compounding takes time, but I want all of you to take this message across and write on Tuesday. Okay. Because we all are now going to be Tuesday people. Okay. So that's one action point for all of you. I know, Jeshri, you have raised your hand, so I'll pause and get you to, ask a question or whatever it is you want to share.
Yeah, I'll just lower the hand. Yeah, as you were talking about page 66, in page 66, he says, and I suppose tapes like photographs and videos are a desperate attempt to steal something from death's suitcase. I thought it was very important. I just wanted to kind of connect that to what you said.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's where also my mind was also subtly connected. So do try that. It will, like my family has this entire family history, okay, what they did by third person narration. But that really I've read it many years ago. I don't feel like reading it any further because it's just who they were, not their learnings and teachings, which it could have been a lot more. Hopefully I'll be able to pass the baton and upgrade that document across. But yeah, let's talk about one thing. I have a reading tips to share, which I do in the reading cohorts, but here onwards I'm merging them into such interactions so that anyone who joins in as one takeaway for their own reading to upgrade the reading skills. If they're doing great, it serves as a refresher. If they're not doing, they can start experimenting amongst this GRP environment and maybe share the feedback. How was that reading tip? And if it was great, continue applying it. So I'll come on to that in 10 minutes from now. One quick question I have from all of you is, have you made your notes? Okay, quick, crisp notes, whether it's in your journal or the app. I'm experimenting with, index cards and a very particular pen, which is a sketchnoting pen. But an open question for all of you. Have you made the notes? And if you have made the notes, what was that process like in terms of relating with the book or going beyond the book? Yeah, Abhishek.
So I have been reading on Kindle, so I add my thoughts. So whenever I underline something in Kindle, whenever I highlight something in Kindle, okay, I add my own thoughts to it. How is it connected to me, or when did I hear of it? Okay, so it's not as good as having it in front of you, but when I go through the highlights again, I also have a service called as Readwise, which kind of gives me the highlights later on. So when I go through those highlights, it also reminds me of what I have gone through. Okay, so this note taking especially works for me because of this Readwise service, which keeps reminding me of all my highlights.
Okay, great. Yeah, Readwise is a huge, amazing thing. And readers have got this opportunity to, if they have not tried Readwise, you can get 3 months of free trial of Readwise. And like if it's directly sign up, you get just 1 month. Readers can get 3 months because of one arrangement I have had with Readwise team itself. So I'm pretty certain the readers have tried out Readwise, but I'll cover Readwise in one of the Read Better, Faster, Smarter I have planned for September. October. September is about to get over. So thanks, Abhishek, for sending a timely reminder about Readwise. Anyone else who has made their notes physically or, of course, digitally as Abhishek does? Yeah, Prerna. You're on mute.
I have not been making notes, but whatever things I have been liking it, I have underlined it, and I've shared that with my family and friends on the WhatsApp groups. And there we have discussed and chat. But yes, yeah, this is one thing, when I'm reading this book, I am getting so very greedy about reading more than spending time in writing. So I think I will take some time out after reading this book, or maybe whenever I'll get time, and will thoroughly, introspect and give like what are the takeaways from the book. So I don't think so I'm going to leave this book so soon.
Yeah, indeed. I have one thing to share with you, which was again the reason of asking this question. Share with everyone, obviously. So we'll come on to that in a quick bit. Jayashree, would you like to add something on this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the usual currently this is not really the optimal way, could be a subpar way, but I have my notes and I just type out what I read, and I also kind of reflect on what I have done, and I write down, I see how it's kind of connecting to my life, and then I make these little notes as what is it that I could apply in my life. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing, but I like the index card and concept. I've not heard of the feature. I mean, I've not heard of that that digital facility which Abhishek talked about. Maybe if you can just drop it in the group, it'll really help.
I'll make a note of it. I'll cover Readwise maybe in the end of the book discussion as well. So
Right.
Readwise a little bit more skewed towards digital readers, like on Kindle. Uh, the supplement notes you can still add if you have read a book on physical note, and you can actually add your highlights by scanning from the Readwise app. At a little bit friction oriented process, but I'll definitely cover Readwise in our end of the book discussion. So that anyone who wants to try that out, they can try the 3 month, so instead of just doing it in a Read Better, Faster, Smarter session, which is for all the members of the Readers Club, I'll also bring this out into the Tuesdays with Morrie. So thank you for citing this. One thing now with note making, I'm not a saint, I'm a sinner rather, because the number of books I read and of course all the things I have in my other life to do about as well. The one element which has always suffered the most is note making, and I used to hide that fact. And think about this: you're running a cohort, you're trying to help people build a habit of reading, so you feel that I'm not doing them enough service by not making diligent notes. And one fine day, I was reading, Building a Second Brain. And while I was reading the Building a Second Brain, a thought struck. The the thought struck was, I am finding the friction because there's an entire book that I want to make a note of. When I add my life, my wife, my job, my passion projects, cohorts, and all the readers I have to interact, all of this was, leaving me with literally a mountain. So what I started doing then was being selective about the notes I'm making. Any which ways, the notes are going to, go here or there, unless until one fine day I have more time to reflect on my notes. And I love making physical notes because there's something, I don't know what, but some science or something amazing about writing things physically. I don't get the feeling even when I type, but I can remember what I've written many years ago as well. So what I've done is the chapters I love or the topics I love, I just make a quick note of it. I can use an audio pen, which is another AI-based service where I just record my thoughts and they automatically sync into Notion, which I've been doing a lot. So I maybe capture it in voice or just make use of the last part of the book itself, whichever chapter, just write few of your own points out. Or in my case, I'm using index cards because I don't want to take too many notes. If I try to make academic notes where you literally feel like being a professor, capturing the entire book down, that slows you or stops you from note making. So the one thing I have for all of you today is after this session, I'll try my best to conclude it at 18:15, that is 6:15 p.m. Okay. And I have blocked the time till 6:30. So those 15 minutes that you get, selectively make note of one topic or couple of one chapter maybe you love the most. So there are how many chapters we have covered so far? So perhaps around first part of the book here till around page number 99. So 4 Tuesdays, sorry, 5 Tuesdays till today. Fourth and fifth Tuesday were shared as a portion today. So if you have read till third Tuesday, pick one chapter. So when you make selective notes, what are the topics which will come in a selective notes? The questions that Morrie asked, the tension of opposites, the presence of having a teacher. If you think about it, these three topics are from the book we have read so far are enough to remember this book, to talk about this book. You can quote the book, you can quote that statement. Today's talks about the question about only when we learn how to die, we learn how to live. Maybe we can use this as a quote or talk about it. So if you just write an index card with 5 or 6 lines as well, it can do you enough than not taking a note at all. And one problem with trying to finish the book and make the notes thereafter is you have a 200-page book, so many notes to make, then you feel I can't get started with the next book until I do make notes of this book, and that disrupts the momentum of reading. One of the number one things I know my readers also suffer is the gap between books because of I've taken some pedal off the GRP's roll wagon wheel. But even the readers themselves, they say I'll opt out of this book so that I can spend more time with this particular book which I've just read. And that momentum again you have to rebuild it, and that takes time and more efforts. So don't wait till the end of the book to make notes. I have been a culprit of this in the past, and I still think of the day when I can have more time to make notes of the books I've read in the past. I know I can do it, but I still run out of time because now I am a father as well. So time will always be in paucity. So make notes while you can, while you're reading. After reading, I don't see unless until you are very very disciplined, which very few people are. You won't be able to make notes, and you'll move on to the next book, and the same cycle will repeat. So do this one activity today. If not after the session, before you fall asleep. Okay, you can maybe just read today's portion and make notes. So, but make notes. The more I deliver this point, I'm also telling myself, if I'm saying so many times to the readers to make notes, I can no longer be a sinner. Okay. I've done the sins of the past, but not in the present. So I'm just doing this for myself as well. So one topic I want to discuss with you is, what's your biggest takeaway from this book so far? Half of the book is nearly done. Yes, we have come across amazing aphorisms. Only when you live to, die, you learn how to live. You've come across tension of opposites, and we've come across, death as well. One subject I am shit scared of. Excuse the French. But what is your one takeaway from this book so far? Is it really been the worth of waiting to read this book for many years, or rereading this book many years? What is one takeaway for you?
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like for me, I think uh, mm, reading half of the book, I realized that in our families, we don't talk about like this, the way the book talks about. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about importance of the family. We just keep doing our duties, our responsibilities, not reflect onto um, what happiness is brought by raising a family. Like, you reflect upon raising children. Nowadays, I get to listen so much from the younger generation. We will not have kids. We will not have kids. They want to surpass that responsibility of raising a human, and then how to take care. So when Morrie talks about, that's the best thing you can have, raising a child, getting love from them, giving love. That's all these things, uh, I feel that they are bigger than all the materialistic thing the world is absorbed into, right? It talks about precious things of which are very basic, which are which it doesn't come with money.
That's a profound thought indeed, Prerna.
Very nice.
And that is part of today's portion itself. So if you have not read this part yet, we'll definitely use this as a cue which Prerna has shared, and reach till the end of fifth Tuesday. We'll be on page 99, which is exact half part of this book, and you'll connect a lot with the book, with your family, and of course with what Prerna just shared. Oh yeah, who else? Pramod?
Yeah, for me, I'll go back to I think what Jayashree had mentioned. So many of the concepts that have been shared in general, I'm able to relate to it quite a lot. Honestly, whether it's love, whether it's death, and the uh, Morrie kind of getting emotional when he's talking about giving it to the society, etc. But I think 15 years back, probably I didn't have that thought process, when I started picking up the book. So I think there is a timing for everything. I'm at the right age to probably read this book. I've not done the chapter yet, so probably I'll be able to relate to what you just now mentioned. But yeah, I mean that's my takeaway. Probably every book. I mean, I'm looking at the first 6 months of the year also. Probably those three books also came at the right time for me. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably go back to the timing part that Jayashree had mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Thanks, Ramod. So, there's a profound statement. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the reader is ready, the book appears. And you'll always find the biggest joy of reading is you come across the book which you might have been knowing about for many years, but it comes right at a sweet spot. One of the things I've recently found, not just with Tuesdays with Morrie, is this book, which we have read already, Why We Sleep.
Yeah.
And there's a GRP of Why We Sleep again happening for the readers who could not finish in the first time, and the readers who did not opt for Why We Sleep the first time. Uh, uh, I don't know. I will run out of the adjectives to talk about this book. Uh, Maybe a few years down the line, I will be able to say that this book saved me from walking towards death. Of course, talking about death, there's this book, Outlive. And in the very first chapter, it talks about death, okay, and says death comes up at two paces, fast death and slow death. And I'm a fan of thinking fast and slow. So I'm stuck like a cassette in the tape record. I'm stuck at the very statement itself. And if you think of this, why we sleep, outlive, Tuesdays with Morrie, this is where the beauty of reading also comes in. So if you, the more you read in terms of, volume, not just number of books, the way you cross connect the ideas, you can, bring your own originality here. I intend to write about this topic, death, when I'm very comfortable with it. I'm not at all comfortable at, but I think one of my takeaways with this book will obviously um, be less scared about it. If you think, like, I've made a note, my wife doesn't know about it. I've made an action point where, it's a proper list. Do this, get that, so that you're half, 1% more comfortable in the very word death. I hope she never finds it, because then she'll, there's a whole lot topic that will happen about it. And she's reading this book itself. So, so hopefully that is, I have not made her read my copy of this book. I made her read the Kindle version so that my notes remain here confined with me. Yeah, okay. I missed to get to Abhishek here. What's your number one takeaway? And one thing I'm also wanting to hear is, you've heard in one drive this audiobook, but now you're reading this book in a GRP format. You're on third day. How is it? How are you able to go deeper with this book, relate more with this book, or are you just connecting? I heard it in the car, and I can now able to relate or remember it better. That's one question I'm curious to know.
That's for Abhishek.
Yeah, that's for Abhishek. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. When he's ready, I'll put it on to him. One, it's 1813. So yeah, I'll take a quick screenshot before I, go to the reading tip. And before I ask Jeshi's, to share her question or query, uh, point across. So, keep your smiling face on. We'll take two selfies, two photographs, one normal and one with the book. Okay. So keep your books aside. For first, we'll just smile and take one quick screenshot. 3, 2, 1. And now with the book.
Just a moment.
Keep it like this so that, okay, Abhishek was driving. Okay. So, yeah, keep this book like that. Abhishek, keep the camera on. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Abhishek, over to the question I asked you.
Can you repeat the question? I was in the lift for a while.
Okay, so the question for you was, what's your takeaway from this book so far? And one thing I'm also curious to know is, you finished the audiobook on YouTube in that one drive of yours, but now you're reading it in GRP and you have come to the day 3 portion. Are you able to relate more with the book, or because you're reading in GRP, or are you connecting with, yeah, I heard it on the audiobook and now I'm able to reinforce or remember it again?
Yeah, reading in the audiobook and then reading it, first listening to the audiobook and then reading is a great way actually. That way your retention becomes much higher. And I would vouch, like, if there is any book, see, only audiobook honestly did not work much for me, because it was very difficult to retain. However interesting or however good my book might be, the only thing is that, no, if it's a non-fiction, it still works, because you can continue to relate to the story. But sorry, if it's a piece of fiction, it works. But for non-fiction books, audio book did not work for me that much. Right? But complementing audiobook along with reading is a great way to retain much. At least I have experienced that.
Thanks, Abhishek. I totally understand that you're in transit mode. So thank you for sharing that. Let me now quickly come on to the reading tip. And this is number one framework of what number one framework that the readers learn in the cohort. And I call this the STAR framework. So the STAR framework essentially stands for S for share, T for think, A for apply, and R for read further, research further. So whichever the word that suits you. So one of the things I teach readers is obviously to always have a pencil, not a highlighter. A lot of people have highlighters when they read, and stops them from being in the reading state of mind. It puts them into the gardener state of mind. You want to beautify the book, or whenever you come across great statements. Instead, if you have a pencil, you can use pencil to quickly capture some notes. Many of the times when you're trying to write a lot, you might lose on your reading momentum. And sometimes it's just underlines. One thing that star does is gives you one more action to do with what you've done. So say if you've come across very, very interesting thing, okay, let me find it. So he talks about, Miss, you remind about me on page number 54, which is what I've asked all the readers who are not showing up, you always have much to add. And I said, I'm going to share this. And I, chose my moment to share it. But, when I'm in the book and I'm going through the book again, I come across this S. When I think of this portion where it's share worthy, I think, what can I write about it? What can I just share a screenshot or photo of this? So whenever you come across something which is, I can share it with my family member, I can share it on social media, I can share it with one friend who, who will relate a lot to with this. Just put an S. It can itself be a note in itself, the very symbol S, which is S for share. Now, going further in this book, I just found there's a T as well. Morrie is talking about the group process. And in that, he talks about, trust. Even when you're falling, you have to trust yourself, close your eyes, believe what you feel. And I thought about it, sometimes in life, you just have to feel a trust. So this portion made me think. And this book is full of portions which will make you think. Think about the teachers of your life, think about death, think about, stuff of life. So I put a S and I would put a T. Sometimes, topic of death made me think about a term insurance itself. I have one, but I need to, get one more term insurance, which is what I put on that index card I was talking about earlier. So when I read that, only when you learn how to live, somewhere it struck me that I have to get myself one term insurance ASAP. So I made an action around that. I wrote an A, get yourself that term insurance. I'm trying to find it. And there's one more portion in this book. I won't tell that because it's still to come. It's in the 6th Tuesday. And this is where my biggest takeaway from the book, apart from tension of opposites, is that one statement I'm repeating to myself. And you'll come across that statement on 6th Tuesday, which will be on Monday. Immediately when you read that statement, you will guess from the question itself what I'm talking about. But that is my number one action. I'm always trying to tell myself that one thing. So it was something like I had to apply this because I was sucking at it in my life. I was making a lot of mistakes. So whenever you come across something that I need to do this, and in a great book, there will be 10, 15, 20 things. But what is that one thing I must do? That's where you write an A there, apply. Problem with a lot of nonfiction book is there is just too many things to apply. So we will get overwhelmed. So be selective with A. It comes with a lot of experience. You might write 10, 15 A's in a book, but even then you'll just use one because that is something you must do right now in your life. So I found that in 6th Tuesday. And R is research. Okay. When a book talks about some other book, I'm missing this part. I know in this book itself, Mish Albom has talked about some other book as well. When an author talks about some other book, some other author, some place, some date, some relatable event. In this case, it was Ted Koppel as well. So I made a point. Who was Ted Koppel or who is Ted Koppel? Okay. What is this interview? The book is talking about the audiovisual part 1, 2, part 3. What is this video? Can I get that video? So whatever makes you curious to go on internet and search, read beyond the book, research beyond the book. That is where you put an R. So it makes you more curious in life, and you can create a lot of content or your own interaction with the book. I came across this book, which is obviously going to be shared with everyone else when we conclude. This is the book which Morrie Schwartz's son, Rob Schwartz, has written, and it's got published in August of 2023. And all that research and curiosities made me stumble across this when I was halfway through the book. So the R is the most important part, but not the S. I know I start with share, and being someone who creates content as well to expand his audience. It can become very much like I'm trying to be a social media content creator who talks about share on social media. But the R part of star is more important. Research work, and that will get you a lot of another dots to connect on the book. So when you're reading, you can have a pencil and you can simply do an S for share, T for think, whenever it makes you think, A for apply, and of course R for research. A decade down the line or 5 years down the line, when you open this book again, you'll be amazed on what you got think about, and say, hey, thank God I applied, because I'm where I am today, thanks to what I made a note for myself. So that's one reading tip, which is my number one reading tip, called the STAR framework. I talk about it a lot. I keep refining it. It's already got a lot better nowadays than the learning I've shared in the cohorts. So I hope all of you take this as a reading tip, whichever way you want to apply it. I also write WP, which is writing prompt, but I can use it. I interchangeably use it with share and writing prompt. So there's a lot of things that you can do when you use symbols. So we'll talk about symbols and emojis maybe when we conclude the book. Hopefully, more people will also join in and have the joyous moment of completing the book, taking a selfie and sharing about this as well. But yeah, thank you. That's it for today. It's 18:22. So I'm gonna give you last bits, whatever you want to share, do that, and then take some time to make one quick note of one chapter you love the most. Okay. The number one takeaway of this session will be you made one quick note from the one chapter so far that you love the most. So any last or passing statements from each one of you before we conclude? Just come on.
Yeah, I'll try to stay on top and match other people's speed also. That's my goal, at least, in the coming week.
Great. Jayashree, Prerna, Abhishek.
Oh, to all, I think page number 83 speaks about this line. If you accept that you can die at any time, then you might not be as ambitious as you are. That is something to be scared about. I don't know what. I'm stuck here.
Yeah, even Mish
Page
Alma,
number 83.
even Mish Alma was stuck. He's written, I forced a grin. So yeah, again, you can get stuck, or you can just take whatever you can, and it pays both ways. I think the context is about ambition versus family. But I know I've been a non-ambitious person in life, and it doesn't lead you anywhere if you're not ambitious. Only when I turned 30, I became ambitious, and whatever I've got so far is because of some ambition. I'm not a very ambitious person yet, but something helps. Of course, life is all about how you deal with what you get, and of course, tension of opposites right in front will make you deal with it. But be ambitious, but don't be so ambitious that I think that's the takeaway.
Balance.
So ambitious that everything else is put on a back burner, because a lot of people do that. And one concept I can come from Some Days Today, the book by Matthew Dix, is your 100-year-old self. When you're literally on a deathbed, you will not remember all these moments when you were scrolling on social media and faffing your time across, or trying to work hard to climb corporate ladder. You'll remember the time spent with the family and loved ones. So that is where I think I can connect this ambition part. But be ambitious, not so much that it comes at a cost of family.
So
I love this bit of the book discussion. It's been a long time since I had one. Yeah, why we sleep, I missed many opportunities to do one. Hopefully, I'll take this as a absolute takeaway. Mid-book discussion will be planned before even the GRPs are launched. because I'm loving this one. Even if 4 people joined, I hope it was worth your time to be part of this interaction. Gets you beyond the book, and reading is all about going beyond the book. And now 8th October, Sunday, we'll come and discuss the end of the book. So if there are any questions for me that I should ask or any feedback or suggestions, just DM it to me on WhatsApp. I'll take it and apply it for our end of the book discussion.
This coming Sunday?
Not this coming Sunday. That's a long weekend one Sunday, so I've avoided that. I'm also traveling, so again, one more reason. So we'll do it on 8th of October, so that those readers who won't finish by the end of this September still have some more days to conclude and join in. Okay, so my voice has already made one filter, so I'll not speak more. Jayashree, over to you.
Yeah, so I'd like to say this. Like Pramod rightly said, I'm also at a stage where, I see people passing on, moving on. I was yesterday at my ex-boss's 60th birthday, and I was inquiring about people, and I found out that at least 4 people that I'd known in the past have moved on. Yeah. And what I also get is that I think in life, we all like predictability, we all like certainty, but I think the only thing that is certain is death. It's like death is guaranteed. Yeah. But one is not so present. Okay. And for a long time, initially I think as I was growing up, discomfort about death was all about, will I be missed? Will people really miss me? From there it moved on to, what about the people I leave behind? Will they manage on their own? And now I've come to a point where it's like, this is the process. And I also accept, I'm also in a space of acceptance that over time, I shall also be forgotten. So there is this Hindi song, Aane Wala Pal. Yeah. In that, it's a very, very profound song. And it says, देखा तो यही है, ढूंढा तो नहीं है, पर ये भी जाने वाला है. Okay, so, and I know for some reason I'm like constantly reminded about that song as I read this book. And for me, I think I don't remember the page number, but Birdie is today the day. That is what really, really stuck. That's like a clear actionable for me. Yeah, and I've also kind of, different points in time, like I shared, right, in the morning, early part of my life was an existential crisis. Then it was like, getting attached to holding on to whatever success. And then, now really at a stage where, am I going to still be relevant? Will I be missed? Will I be wanted? And I'm really going through that cycle. And like I said, I always believe that the right books appear when I need answers. And it's not really an accident, because the group in which Santosh posted is a muted group. I have muted that group, but I just had to look at this one message and say, okay, I'm joining this group. Yeah, so I have very interesting episodes with a serendipity, and I believe this is one of those.
I'm really curious to now see where this serendipity leads you. Life is obviously lived when you go further ahead and then come back to thoughts. Norm is one person who came into my readers club out of absolute nowhere. Okay. And today she's one of those readers. I can't think about a great GRP without her being in the group. So let's see how things are pan out. As natural alarm has hit in my head. So I'll conclude this meeting. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'll meet all of you on 8th of October, Sunday, for the end of the big discussion. Thank you so much. Happy reading. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye.